Okay, so here we go. What does it mean to live in the present? Also, if you hear some noise, it's going to be coming from a woodpecker at the top of this tree. But anyway, um I was talking with one of my lovely people from Instagram, and she was asking, Jax, you talk about like living in the present and living in the moment. And it sounds really good and it sounds all spiritual and very connected, but what does it actually mean? And does that mean that I shouldn't be trying to achieve my goals and focusing on, doing what I need to do and planning and, all of that stuff? And it's a fair question, and I think it's a great question. And thank you, May, for asking it. So, yes, I talk a lot about living in the present and not regretting the past or worrying about the future because those things haven't happened yet and the past doesn't exist anymore. But it's a fair question about how do you then plan your life? Or if you're always living in the present, how do you go about that? And the simple answer is you still plan, you still make plans, and you have goals and ambitions, but those things aren't a hyperfixation. You're not constantly thinking about, oh man, like how am I going to do this? Where am I going to go here? How is this going to work? What you're doing is you are living in the present, and you're allowing yourself just to focus on your breathing, to, maintain this presence. But that doesn't mean that you're not trying to achieve goals. So I live in the present. I focus on my immediate surroundings. I focus on my breathing. I'm constantly doing that. But I'm doing that mindfully while working on my goals, while focusing on what I'm doing. Like I'll be responding to emails, or I will be, you know, doing work here on the farm. But I always take, every 15 minutes or so, I take a moment and I just focus on my breathing. I focus on what I'm doing. I maintain that present mindfulness. And I also don't allow myself to regret the past or think about like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, because that's not getting me anywhere at all. So the short answer to the question is, yeah, you're still planning, you're still making goals and plans. But that mindfulness and being present allows you to make those plans with a lot clearer of a head, and it lets you just focus on what you're going to find far more important. So I know like when you're first starting the kind of like mindfulness journey, and again, I hate the word journey. I don't like how it's been sort of appropriated by the whole like I'm on a spiritual journey. But I mean, like, we kind of all are. Like, it's a fair enough word. But yeah, to live in the present and to focus on what really matters is, I think that's the most important thing. And then as you're doing that, you're still pursuing goals, you're still achieving the things you need to achieve. There isn't this idea of never making any plans, never, like, I still make plans with my friends, I still make plans with family. I do all of that stuff, but I'm mindful and I'm present in the moment, because the present is the only thing we actually have. We don't have the future yet. We can steer our course, but we can't plan it. And you can't, for all your planning and all of your organization and worrying about the future and situations and worrying about future conversations you're going to have and worrying about anxiety you might have in the future, none of that is actually real, right? And so, it's like the best laid plans always go awry, because it's kind of true. Like, did I think that I would be still on the farm at 26 years old? No. Like, if you had told me that at like 15, if you had told me that at 20, I would have been like, there's no way that that's happening. There's no way that I'll still be here. But I am here. I'm doing a lot more than just farming. I'm involved in a lot of different things. I went to university, but I'm still here. So the idea of planning your life, important, picking goals, making plans, working towards achieving those goals, very, very important. I'm not saying they're not important, but I'm saying that mindfulness and that being present in the moment is also probably more so important than the goal setting. And again, your goals have to be realistic. They have to be, there's no sense, like I was asked a few days ago, like, what's your 5-year plan? And I'm like, I don't have a 5-year plan. Like, I have some general goals and metrics that I'd like to hit, but I certainly don't have a 5-year plan to be like married and have kids. And I certainly don't have some metrics of I need to visit 20 countries before I'm 32. I don't live my life by a set of those goals. There are things I'd like to achieve. There's things I'd like to do. I'd like to go skydiving, but I'm not like rushing out to do that, So it's definitely a fair question, but the answer comes down to knowing yourself, knowing what goals are actually attainable and what you're actually striving for. And also, it's a fair question to ask, are the goals you want to strive for really your goals? Or are they society's goals? Or are they your parents' goals? Like, are they the things your parents want to see you doing? Because sometimes when you reevaluate your goals, you come to the realization that they're not yours. They're things that society tells you that you want. Like, you might want to go off to Australia and become a sheep farmer with a podcast. Who knows? Like, why is it that all of us need to have a house and kids and a marriage and a 401k by the time we're 32? Why is that the standard? Why is that the social norm? Today, you can make money doing almost anything. Actually, I'm going to change that. You can make money doing anything. Like, you can make a living doing anything. And if money isn't your goal, then your life is opened up to a whole new opportunity. I mean, do you want to learn yoga? Do you want to take on archery? Like, there is so much opportunity that the idea that you need to know what you're doing right now and start heading towards it is ridiculous, because you are heading towards it. You are on that course. The idea that, well, in the future, I've got to do this. No, you're here. You're here doing this now. What can you do today that will, A, make you happy? Because the pursuit of happiness, I think, is the main reason why we're on this planet. I disagree with anyone who says that we're here for some great epic purpose, or we're here to fulfill some great religious path or destiny. No, I think we're here to enjoy and to appreciate and to love each other and have compassion for each other. I mean, the fact that you and I are conscious and that we can communicate, and you're watching a YouTube video on being in the present, that's ridiculous. Like, the world is this incredibly complex and unimaginably interesting place. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's hard, guys. I will say that. Like, it is hard to stay in the present while keeping your goals in mind. But the short-term advice is, don't think of it too hard. Don't stress about it. Choose some goals and really analyze those goals and see, is this what I want? Is this where I'm going? Do I want to achieve this by a certain... And actually, I would say, don't set your goals in terms of a time limit. Pick goals that involve being who you want to be. So, for example, one of my big goals is just to be a good person. And so someone might say, well, how do you define being a good person? And to me, a good person is somebody who is positive, who never puts anybody down. I might make jokes on TikTok and, they might be at expense of myself or my friends or something, but I'm making those jokes to provide laughter and happiness. I'm not making these jokes to be callous, to be rude, to put people down, to make people feel ashamed or sad. I'm making these for the pure happiness that it brings me and the people I know. So my goal as being a good person, it doesn't have a time limit. It's a criteria that I live my life. It's a goal that applies to the present, because as I'm being present, I can remember my goal and say, oh, I need to be a good person. And what I just said to this person on the street, that wasn't good. So I'm going to apologize and, try and make them laugh or something. So your goals can absolutely apply to the present, here and now. And I think they should. I don't think goals like I need to own my own home by 25. I don't think a goal like that, A, it's too specific, I think, and B, it's hard to actively work on a goal like that in the here and now. Whereas I want to strive to develop financial independence. You can work towards that goal all the time. You can be in the present thinking like, oh, how could I make that work? While still being present in the moment and here with the people around you. So I don't know. I think it's a great question because a lot of these like great teachers, these Buddhists, these Taoists, these Stoics, a lot of these great philosophers and people, they're going to tell you like, oh, you need to live in the present. But they don't give you an actual roadmap or actual infrastructure on how to do that because they just say, well, live in the present, focus on your breath work. It's like, okay, well, I kind of need a little more than that because my brain constantly moves on. You know, the neurodivergent ADHD brain is constantly wired to go, okay, well, what's next? What are we doing here? Why are we moving here? What's going on here? And we're constantly looking for situations and being like, oh, did this person make a joke at me? Do they hate me? Oh, maybe I made a total fool of myself. No, stop. Like at some point you have to stop and focus on your breath work and say, okay, what are my goals? What are my goals today? What would I like to achieve today? And don't spend too much time thinking on it. Say, I want to achieve this. And then live presently, do what you do, and you'll be shocked by the time you're ready to go to bed tonight, it will have been achieved. So that is my 2 cents on that. Thank you guys for listening. I want to hear your comments, obviously. Let me know what you think. Tell me about a goal you have or something that helps you stay in the present and remain conscious and lucid and focusing on what you're focusing on. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow.